2 other guys and I share an apartment, and we split all the bills. The only thing we don't share costs on is groceries. Everyone is in charge of buying their own food, and we don't touch whatever doesn't belong to us in the fridge. We put our names on everything so no one gets mixed up. This issue has been going on for almost a year, and I'm sick of it. One of my roommates, keeps stealing my food. I get home from work, and containers with my leftovers are sometimes missing. They have my name written on them, or my stuff finishes too quickly. For example, my gallon of milk. I buy almond milk because I like the taste. But it seems to finish after a week even though I've only drunk it once or twice. I confronted R about this lots of times, and that's caused a lot of arguments. He outright denies it and tells me I'm crazy, even though it's so obvious. My other roommate and I carpool together because we both work the same early morning shifts around the same area, so I know it's not him. It's always after we get back home, and R's already left for work, that I notice my food's gone. My roommate has also had a similar problem, but not as often as I do. I'm guessing it's because R doesn't like what he buys. The funny thing is R buys a lot for himself and is even more stingy about his food. He will literally point out what's his when he comes back from grocery shopping and tells us not to touch it. Last week, my milk was nearly empty again, and I got fed up. I went to the liquor store and bought regular dairy milk. I drank what was left of my almond milk and refilled the gallon with the one I bought. This was to catch/prove R is the one stealing since he's lactose intolerant. The next day, Saturday, we get back from work, and R is pissed. He yelled at me that he was stuck in the bathroom for 40 minutes with diarrhea because of my milk. He was using it to make a shake. I only responded with, "So then you're the one who's been stealing?" He freaking exploded. Yeah, he admitted he was sometimes drinking my milk and eating my food, but he was more mad that I switched milks than the fact that he was caught. I told him I wouldn't have done that if he'd just stopped taking my stuff from the fridge, or at least told the truth instead of trying to make it seem like I was making it up. My roommate backed me up and thought it was kind of funny he got payback for stealing from us. It's a little tense right now, and my roommate told me R is trying to convince him to agree to kick me out. Little does he know we're both looking to move somewhere else together because we are sick of his shit. I told some buddies what happened, and a few think I was an asshole for that. I feel like I'm not in the wrong here. He was taking my food and not even owning up to it, and I wanted to prove it. Does that make me the a-hole?
I recently inherited a substantial amount of money from my mom. I keep the money in a separate account as I still haven't decided what to do with it, and I didn't want it to go to waste. I noticed my husband constantly bringing up the inheritance money and making countless suggestions as to how I should spend it. Another thing is that he expects me to pay for nearly everything in the past couple of weeks. For NYE, my husband and I met up with his family at a restaurant to celebrate. It was going fine until I found out that I was expected to pay for everyone at the table. My husband's mom joked about paying for dinner out of my inheritance pocket, which made me livid, but I showed no reaction. I silently paid for my own food/drinks, then got up and made my way out of the restaurant. They were shouting after me like a crowd, and my husband tried to get me to come back, but I drove home. He got back at 3 a.m., yelling at me, saying I was pathetic to get up and walk out on him and his family after they relied on me to pay for their food and thought I was gracious enough to do it. But they were wrong. He said I humiliated him and the family, and that what I did was an attempt to get back at them for not being able to help mom when she was sick. Not true is all I'm gonna say. He is mad and is saying that I caused a huge rift between his family and me when it wouldn't have hurt me to pay for the celebratory dinner.
Dad here, an old fart, loves his daughter to pieces, but I'm struggling to see eye to eye with my teenager and wife on this one. We've always been a meat-eating family. We live in rural Midwest, and bacon for breakfast is pretty much a given. This year, my 14-year-old daughter decided to go vegan, and I jumped onto her support team with enthusiasm. We learned how to substitute ingredients, cook new things, try new things, and I adjusted our budget to include more expensive vegan substitutes for her, etc. None of this has been a problem for me until recently. She saw me cook bacon in a pan, and then I rinsed it out to load in the dishwasher. She exploded in anger. Teen years, I'm not too fussed about the anger explosion. I know she doesn't mean it, and said that that was her pan for vegan food. I was completely floored and said, "Kiddo, this here is a family pan, older than you, it's not your pan." She asked me to purchase her a pan that she can solely use for vegan food. I didn't want her to feel weird about food, so I said sure and ordered her a few colored ones that are only for her. The reason they're colored is so it helps me remember that I'm not to touch them unless I'm cooking vegan. That wasn't good enough. Now apparently the dishwasher is contaminated with animal products, and the fridge has bacon grease fingers on it, because I eat bacon and then touch the fridge, and she's asked me and her mom to completely stop eating meat at home. I don't mean I literally touch the fridge with greasy bacon hands, because I wash my hands, but it's clearly enough that it upsets my daughter. Frankly, I'm on team hell no. Her mom is much more amenable and strongly wants me to consider taking our daughter up on the request. My wife's reasoning is that both our parents live close, so we can eat meat products there, and that she doesn't want our daughter to feel uncomfortable in the kitchen. My daughter says she is fine with cheese and butter in the fridge, but it's specifically meat products that make her feel sick. Now I'm sorry for her, but I feel like she just needs to adapt and live side by side because I'm not going to stop eating bacon in my own house. I had a 1967 Impala 4-door that I bought in February 2019. A couple of months ago, I bought my first house that had a 2.5-car garage. I moved the car in and started tearing it down for a complete restoration. I had the body in one bay and the chassis in another, plus the whole garage filled with parts. About 2 months ago, my girlfriend came to live with me during this whole crisis, and the whole time, she has hated that car. She wants to park in the garage, but I have 2 acres of land with a lot of nice places to park under shady trees or even in the barn if it has to be inside. I tell her tough luck, it's my house, and it's not like I can just throw it back together real quick. Anyways, I was out of town for a couple of days on a business trip for the small local company I work for. When I got back, my girlfriend was all smiles, making me food all the time, doing all the chores, all that. I thought maybe she was just happy to have me home, but then I realized that I didn't see her car in its usual spot. I asked her where she parked so I could make sure I mow that area and keep it clean, and she said not to worry because she parked in the garage. I asked how, and she told me to go check it out. Turns out that while I was gone, she hired some people to come over and move everything related to that car, including the drivetrain, body, and chassis and all parts, and take it to the local dump/scrapyard. I was absolutely dumbfounded. I had spent over $11,000 on that car, including new parts, services, and the car itself. I told her that I was going to be taking her to court for that, and she brushed me off like I was being dramatic. I told her that it's done between us and to pack her things and leave. I admit I was really angry, but I did end up getting a lawyer, and as I have all the receipts for all that money spent and I have her on my house's security cam footage letting the guys in and watching them take it all, I think I can win. Her family and friends are absolutely blowing me up, saying it's just a stupid old piece of junk and that she cannot pay back all that money I spent, and that I should just let it go. But I have been putting all my time, effort, and money into that car for 1.5 years now, and god damn it if I am not going to get justice for what she did. AITA, update, went to the police station last night, was told to come back in the morning. Just got back and filed an official report against her for grand larceny and grand theft auto. I showed them all the receipts I had for the car and the footage of her letting the guys come and take it, as well as the title for the vehicle in my name. They said they will be in contact with all 3 parties, me, XGF, and junkyard guys, soon, and they will hopefully be able to recover some or all of the car. Just have to wait now, huge update, they found my goddamn car. The junkyard guys apparently were in the middle of hiding it when the police came to ask them questions. It was on a forklift, and they were gonna put it on top of a pile of cars that was hidden behind more piles of cars. They said it was theirs and they had the title, but obviously didn't have the title for it, and since they matched the VIN on the chassis and body to the VIN on my title, it was obviously mine. I know at least one person there has been arrested. I think he was in the camera footage I talked about earlier. But I don't know if it was the boss or whomever or even his specific charge. They also told me they would be looking into this specific junkyard for any other vehicles reported stolen. They said they haven't been able to get in contact with my ex just yet, but they're working on it. I'm just so glad they found my car. Luckily, I made quite an album of pictures detailing me tearing down the car, and so I can use that to prove what parts they had were mine so I can hopefully get most or all of it back. The police haven't let me take it back home yet, as they say it is evidence or something, so hopefully, I can get it back eventually. She's gonna be alright. One of my 29M best friends, Carla, 31F, is getting married soon. It's only meant to be a small backyard type of wedding, but they've been planning it for a few months now, and originally it was supposed to be on my property. They wanted it because it's private, has lots of open space for the reception, a nice view, and the house could be used for them to get ready and stuff. Of course, I said yes. She and her fiancé, Rick, were very happy. The thing is, Carla and I do have a history. We went out on and off in college but decided to stay friends. Then I met my wife, we got married, Carla met Rick, and now here they are. Now, my wife knows I went out with Carla back in college. And she didn't care. Carla still went to our wedding and everything. I never knew if Rick was told or not. It's not my relationship, therefore, it's not my business to say anything, so I never did. Rick found out recently and not in the best way. Not sure how, but from what I heard from friends is that one mutual friend told him, no idea why, we used to date. Not only that, but apparently, Carla said a couple of years ago she was still in love with me when she was already dating Rick. I don't have actual confirmation if that's exactly what he was told. All Carla's told me is that Rick was told about our past, and he's angry at her for never saying anything. It became quite a drama. And I didn't hear from her for over a month until now. She told me they're going to couples counseling, and that the wedding is still on. But Rick requested that I not attend. It sucks, but I totally get why he wouldn't be comfortable. Then I asked the obvious question, where are they going to hold the wedding then? To my surprise, she said they still want it at our place. Rick said so too, and in my mind, I'm going. He doesn't want the guy who dated his fiancée years ago at the wedding but still wants the wedding at his house. My wife and I are expected to just not be at our home that weekend, and I told Carla no. They're going to have to find someplace else since we're not going to simply leave our home to them for the weekend. Not only for safety reasons, but it just doesn't make sense. Rick doesn't want me around because he's not comfortable but is comfortable enough to have their wedding at my house. They really want their wedding here, though, and because of that, I've been bugged by not only her but also Rick and some friends who think I'm being a petty asshole for not letting them have the wedding here anymore. Honestly, I don't think that I am. It just doesn't make sense at all to have to leave our place for a wedding we're no longer welcome to and leaving our home totally vulnerable. Still, being accused of sabotaging their wedding, and Rick believes it's the least I can do after everything. Am I the a-hole?